Usher, the R&B legend, recently opened up about his past living with Sean Diddy Combs at age 14. In a raw and emotional testimony, he recalled being exposed to a wild and adult lifestyle he didn't fully understand at the time. Usher described the experience as crazy and said he witnessed things no young teen should. While he acknowledged learning about the music industry, he made it clear he would never let his own children go through the same. His story sheds light on the need to protect young talent in the entertainment, music world. What he said didn't just shake the courtroom. It reignited a fire the entertainment industry has tried to bury for years. Were you ever a fan of Usher or grew up listening to his music? If yes, drop a 1 in the comments. If not, comment 0. Today's story isn't just about one person. It's a wake-up call for the entire industry. If you believe the truth needs to be heard, like and share this video, and don't forget to hit subscribe to stay updated on the latest music developments. There are currently no verified reports confirming that Usher Raymond has testified in the federal trial of Sean Diddy Combs. While Usher has previously spoken publicly in past interviews about his time living with Diddy as a teen, he has not appeared in court in connection with the current legal proceedings against Combs, according to available and credible sources. If you'd like, I can help you summarize the real developments in the Diddy trial or provide a fact-checked overview of past statements Usher has made about that period in his life. For years, Usher remained silent. He played the game, smiled for the cameras, and avoided the uncomfortable questions. But now, as Sean Diddy Combs faces federal charges of trafficking, coercion, and abuse, Usher has finally chosen to speak out. He says the truth has been eating away at him for years, a truth rooted in what he experienced as a 14-year-old living under Diddy's supervision and what he later came to understand about the darkest corners of the music industry. His story isn't just shocking. It has the power to change music, everything. Usher began his testimony by recalling the moment his mother informed him that he would be living with Sean Diddy Combs in New York. At just 14 years old, fresh off the release of his debut album, he was filled with excitement about his future in the music industry. The arrangement, orchestrated by L.A. Reid, was intended to fast-track his success by immersing him in the heart of the industry. However, Usher soon realized that the world he was about to enter was far from what he had imagined. "I thought I was going there to learn how to be a star," Usher shared in court, his voice steady yet filled with emotion. "Instead, I witnessed things no teenager should ever have to music see." Usher recalled the moment he first stepped into Diddy's penthouse in Midtown Manhattan, a place that immediately struck him as unlike anything he had ever encountered. Champagne bottles were casually laid out on breakfast trays, and strangers were waking up in rooms he hadn't even known existed. Celebrities, figures he recognized from magazines and TV, were sprawled across beds. Some half-dressed, others completely passed out. It wasn't a home. It was a scene. Usher testified, his voice heavy with the weight of those memories. He described the atmosphere as a flavor camp. "At the time, I didn't understand what that meant. I thought it was just a branding thing," he explained. "But as I got older, I realized it was about indulgence." The courtroom was silent as Usher recounted how what was supposed to be a mentoring experience quickly turned into something far more disturbing. Diddy didn't guide him in music or performance as expected. Instead, Usher said he was taught to observe Diddy's extravagant lifestyle, attend lavish parties, and, above all, never ask questions. "This is how we do it. You don't ask, you just watch. Learn by watching. This is how grown men act," Usher recalled Diddy telling him. One night, Usher described waking up around 3 a.m. to see people in masks entering Diddy's apartment, an image that would haunt him for music years. Soft music played in the background as candles flickered in the hallway. Usher walked into the living room only to be met with a scene that felt like a ritualistic party. It wasn't just sex. There was structure to it, cameras, lists, and no one seemed surprised. "I thought maybe I'd walked onto a movie set," Usher explained. "I remember thinking, I'm not supposed to see this." Diddy told him to go back to bed, but Usher couldn't sleep. That moment, he said, forever changed how he saw Diddy. The next part of Usher's testimony shifted to the warning signs he never got and the unsettling truth about what he had witnessed in that house. Usher went on to explain that no one, neither his record label, his mother, nor others in the industry, had warned him about what was really going on in Diddy's world. "People thought Diddy was just eccentric," he said. They didn't realize he had absolute power over people in a quiet but unquestionable way. He explained how, if Diddy didn't like someone, their career would come to a halt. On the flip side, if he liked someone, silence and compliance became the unspoken rule. Usher revealed that there were many other young artists like himself who were lured in with promises of fame and success, only to slowly find themselves trapped in Diddy's orbit, often without realizing it at first. Usher didn't directly name others, but he strongly suggested that more people would eventually come forward. There were people around us, assistants, drivers, and other musicians. Everyone acted like it was normal, but deep down, they knew the adults had let us down, he shared. One particularly chilling part of Usher's testimony involved a private trip Diddy took him on to the Caribbean when he was just 15. It was supposed to be a retreat, just me, him, and a few others. The place was remote, no press, no cameras. And that's when I realized I wasn't there to learn anything about music, Usher said, his voice heavy with the weight of the music realization. Usher paused, his voice steady but emotional. I won't go into everything, but what I will say is I didn't have a choice about the environment I was placed in, and it took me years to understand the manipulation. The courtroom hung in silence. Every eye fixed on him. Usher went on to describe how after the trip, his relationship with Diddy shifted dramatically. Diddy became more controlling, and the atmosphere around him became even more oppressive. There were always new people around. More parties, more rules, Usher recalled. And anytime I pushed back, even just a little, I was reminded that it was Diddy who made my career. You don't bite the hand that feeds you, he said, echoing Diddy's chilling words. Remember who gave you this life, Diddy told him. Usher paused, locking eyes with Diddy in the courtroom before delivering a devastating line. You didn't give me this life. You gave me nightmares. The weight of his words hung heavy in the air. The third section of Usher's testimony would only add to the gravity of the moment. He revealed that at just 16 years old, he had signed a contract that included a confidentiality clause, a clause he hadn't fully understood at the time. The contract, which had been presented to him as a standard non-disclosure agreement to protect Bad Boy Records' internal dealings, actually contained specific language covering personal events and behaviors. This revelation left the courtroom stunned as it hinted at the extent of control Diddy may have had over not just Usher's career, but his personal life as well. At the time, I didn't even know what half the words meant, Usher confessed to the court. My mom had to co-sign it, and the label's lawyer said it was standard. But looking back now, I know it was a contract to keep me quiet. His voice trembled as he explained how his signature effectively bought his silence for years. I wasn't allowed to talk about the parties, the guests, or the behavior. I was told that speaking out would ruin the brand. But what about what it did to me? Usher's frustration was palpable as he revealed that the confidentiality clause was invoked years later when he attempted to share his truth. The courtroom was silent, gripped by the weight of his words as Usher reflected on the long-lasting impact of the silence imposed on him. In 2009, during an interview with a major publication, Usher was pushed with increasingly personal and sensitive questions. That's when he received a call from Bad Boy's former legal team reminding him of the NDA he had signed. We hope you're not trying to put your reputation at risk, they warned. Usher recalled how, out of fear, he ended up canceling the interview. But it wasn't just the lawyers who made their presence felt. He also received veiled threats from people still connected to Diddy's empire. You think you're done with that world, Usher said. But it's never done with you. And if you step outside the lines, there are consequences. The weight of those words left a lasting impact, showing how the control extended far beyond the boundaries of the music industry. Not just your career, your safety too. The courtroom fell into a heavy silence as Usher slowly pulled out a copy of the NDA he had signed. The judge accepted it as evidence. The document, once just a standard contract, now carried a chilling new context. It included language that prohibited the unauthorized duplication of audiovisual materials, language that, in the wake of rumors about Diddy's alleged video library, took on a far more ominous meaning. Usher's voice cracked slightly as he spoke, his words heavy with emotion. That paper made me feel like I was crazy for years, as if everything I saw, everything I felt, wasn't real because I wasn't allowed to speak about applause. Becoming more strained, did he leave me alone with those men? He asked, his emotions swelling. I felt trapped, He testified that while he wasn't physically harmed, one of the men placed a hand on his shoulder and said, "You can stay or you can leave, but you'll never get another invitation like this again." Usher chose to leave, and that decision marked the beginning of a drastic shift in his career. He explained that shortly after, he was pulled from a tour, and a high-profile producer suddenly ceased working with him. "No one said it was because I walked out of that room," Usher shared. But after that night, doors that had always been open suddenly slammed shut. A few weeks later, Usher testified that Diddy showed him a disturbing video clip from a handheld camera, which left him deeply unsettled. Diddy chuckled as he replayed the video, a cold smile on his face. "That's another young artist," Diddy remarked. "He's doing something I know he wouldn't have agreed to unless someone made him do it." The lawyer, clearly taken aback, asked, "Did he threaten you?" Usher paused, his eyes distant. "He didn't have to," he replied, his voice low. "The people around him did. They didn't need words. They used silence and exile." Usher's voice grew heavy as he continued. "I realized that fame wasn't just about talent anymore. It was about submission. That's how you stay famous in Diddy's world." The courtroom grew eerily quiet as the camera zoomed in on Usher's face, his expression solemn. He exhaled deeply. "This is the hardest part," he said, his voice cracking slightly, "because it's no longer about music me." Usher continued his testimony, his tone shifting as he spoke about the early days of Justin Bieber's career. Usher played a pivotal role in launching the young pop star's rise to fame, co-signing his contract and guiding him as a mentor. "In the beginning, everything seemed promising. I wanted to be the big brother I never had," Usher shared, his voice laced with sincerity. But then Usher described the turning point, the moment that forever altered his perspective on his relationship with Diddy. It happened in 2002 at a private party held at a secret estate in the Hollywood Hills, an event unlike any other he had attended. Usher's eyes grew distant as he recalled the surreal and unsettling atmosphere that night. "The whole thing felt different," he said, his voice trailing off as he tried to find the right words. "It was as if everything I thought I knew about the world I was in was flipped upside down." Usher described the party as unsettling, unlike any he'd experienced before. Instead of a lively atmosphere, it felt like a secretive ritual. He was invited to meet a European producer. But when he arrived, there was no producer, just dim lighting, heavy security, and a tense vibe. Phones were taken at the door, isolating everyone from the outside world. "It felt like we were trapped," Usher recalled, sensing something deeply wrong about the situation. Usher explained that everyone's phones were taken as soon as they entered, adding to the suffocating sense of isolation. If you think Usher's story is an eye-opener, hit the like button to help spread the message. Don't forget to subscribe for more untold truths from behind the spotlight. And if you believe it's time for the secrets of the entertainment industry to come to light, leave a comment saying truth below. Real change starts when we speak up together. Usher also described the strange contracts attendees were forced to sign, labeled as NDAs, non-disclosure agreements. However, these agreements were much more aggressive and threatening than anything he had encountered in the music industry. He revealed that the contracts not only demanded silence, but also had strict clauses prohibiting any disclosure of what happened at the events, with serious consequences for breaking them. That was the moment Usher realized his career wasn't just built on talent, but on submission to the bizarre and controlling conditions Diddy imposed. Usher recounted the moment he realized that Diddy was trying to force him into a world he never wanted to be part of, one where careers were not built on a love for music, but on unspoken agreements and silence. "That night changed me," Usher said, his voice filled with emotion, "because I realized I hadn't chosen this path. Diddy was shaping it for me his way." His testimony intensified the tension in the courtroom as he described the profound discomfort he felt at that party. His voice cracked when he revealed that the people present weren't artists or executives. They were merely music observers. Usher recalled seeing familiar high-profile faces at the party, people he had never publicly seen associated with Diddy. Though he didn't name them in court, he hinted that as the trial progressed, some of these individuals might step forward and shed more light on the events that took place behind closed doors. The most heart-wrenching moment in Usher's testimony came when he described trying to leave the party early. He was stopped by an unfamiliar man and led into a room where Diddy was sitting. The man told Usher that he wasn't ready yet, and that Usher still thought this was about music, But in reality, this is bigger than that. Usher testified that after that night, he made the firm decision never to attend another one of Diddy's parties. He felt manipulated, not just professionally, but also drawn into a power dynamic he never signed up for. His testimony then shifted to Diddy's business practices at Bad Boy Records, marking the first time Usher publicly shared key documents. He submitted internal emails and draft contracts, including a development deal he had signed as a teenager. The agreement bound him to release 5 albums and gave up the rights to his master recordings until the age of music, 35. Usher admitted that at the time, he didn't fully understand what he was signing. He just wanted to sing and break into the music industry. He went on to explain how other artists were locked into similar contracts, mentioning Carl Thomas, Total, Black Rob, and the late Craig Mack. Usher accused Diddy of using a pattern to lure artists in with promises of mentorship and career opportunities, only to discard them when they were no longer useful or obedient. The most shocking part of his testimony came when Usher revealed that a private accountant had sent him a spreadsheet showing the royalties he had missed out on over the years, totaling more than $4.3 million. When Usher confronted Diddy about the missing royalties, Diddy simply laughed and responded, "If you knew what you were really owed, you wouldn't be able to sleep at night." Court documents also revealed that many other artists had been forced into silence agreements, with some receiving only small payments to regain control over their own names or the rights to perform their songs. These shocking revelations exposed a tight system of control that Diddy allegedly imposed on his artists, sparking serious concerns about fairness and ethics in the music industry. Usher's testimony took a deeply emotional turn when he shared one of the most significant details of his experience. Usher revealed a shocking moment from 2011 when he attempted to organize a secret meeting with other artists to discuss their shared grievances about Diddy's treatment. However, the meeting never took place because someone had tipped Diddy off in advance. Usher described the intense disappointment and powerlessness he felt, unable to unite the artist community against the injustices they had faced. Another bombshell came when Usher disclosed witnessing Diddy ordering the destruction of demo tapes and video footage from an artist who had threatened to speak out. That artist later disappeared from the public eye and, according to Usher, no one has seen or heard from him since. The courtroom was hushed as Usher recounted this chilling experience, revealing the immense control and manipulation Diddy held over the people in his orbit. Usher shared the lasting image of the artist who had vanished, a haunting memory that had stayed with him all these years. When asked why he had stayed silent for so long, Usher broke down, his voice trembling with pain. "Because I thought I owed him. I thought if I stayed silent, I could keep going and still be grateful." But he eventually came to a heartbreaking realization. Staying silent about a lie was something he could no longer live with. He spoke of the immense guilt he felt watching other young artists fall into the same trap he once did. And for years, he didn't know how to help them without risking his own career. Usher's voice wavered as he revealed the final, most intimate piece of his testimony, an unpublished journal entry he wrote the night he decided to walk away from his role as Diddy's mentor for good. He described how in 2016, when an old Drink Champs video began circulating, he attempted to confront Diddy only to be swiftly shut down by Diddy's powerful legal team. This was a stark reminder of the immense power Diddy still held over the music industry, a power that had instilled fear in Usher and countless other artists for years. Usher reflected on how everything in the end always came down to control. For him, it was the final straw, realizing that to preserve his own integrity and safety, he had no choice but to sever ties with the very system that had once shaped his career. Usher's voice cracked as he shared the final lines of his journal entry. "I survived Puffy, but did the kid in me survive? I still don't know." It was a haunting reflection on the emotional scars left by his experiences, the toll of years spent in an industry driven by power and silence. As his testimony came to a close, Usher turned to the court, his words carrying the weight of years of suppression. He told the court and the young artists who were listening that this wasn't just about Diddy. It was about a system that demanded silence, obedience, and unquestioning loyalty from young talent. By standing up and telling his story, Usher hoped to create a platform for others, especially the younger generation, to find the courage to speak their truth without fear of retribution. It was a powerful moment, a call for change in an industry that had long been shrouded in secrecy and music manipulation. Usher revealed a deeply personal moment during his testimony, sharing that after the success of his 871 album in 2001, he disappeared from the spotlight for a week. While the public assumed he was just resting, Usher admitted he had checked into a mental health facility in Northern California under a false name. He explained that the pressures of fame and the emotional toll of his experiences, especially with Diddy, had overwhelmed him. "I thought the music could save me," Usher said. "But it wasn't the music that needed saving. It was me." Usher tearfully recalled the moment when everything came crashing down. He described how, while staying at a hotel in New York, seemingly minor triggers, flashing lights, crowded spaces, and certain sounds suddenly overwhelmed him, bringing back memories of his traumatic time living with Diddy. He shared that in his early 20s, he began experiencing panic attacks, which were deeply linked to the psychological toll of those years. "It wasn't just the fame," Usher said. "It was the fear. I couldn't escape. I didn't know why it was happening, but I knew I couldn't hide from it anymore." This was the first time Usher openly discussed the lasting mental health struggles he'd faced since his teenage years in the industry. Usher described the overwhelming panic that gripped him during that moment, as the scent of candles Diddy used at his parties triggered a flood of haunting memories. His body froze, and he struggled to breathe, prompting him to seek medical help. That incident set him on a path of nearly 2 years of therapy, where he confronted the traumatic experiences he'd buried for so long. For the first time, he shared with the public what he had told his psychiatrist. "I saw things no child should ever see. I lived in a world where power meant silence and survival meant smiling." These words captured the intense emotional toll his early years in the industry had on music. Usher described the house where he lived with Diddy as more than just a temporary place. "It was where dreams were sold, but your soul was the price." This powerful statement painted a chilling picture of manipulation and emotional damage. Usher then revealed that he had been diagnosed with PTSD, a disclosure that stunned both the courtroom and his fans. The healing process was long and difficult, taking nearly 2 years of therapy before he could sleep through the night without nightmares. This moment underscored the deep psychological trauma Usher faced, not just from isolated incidents, but from an entire system that demanded silence and compliance for years. It was one of the most powerful moments in the trial. Usher wasn't only speaking for himself, but also for those victims who never had the chance to speak out. His testimony wasn't just an accusation against one man. It was a condemnation of an entire industry that has inflicted injustice and lasting harm on countless artists, leaving them to suffer in silence behind the music scenes. Usher's court testimony was not just a personal revelation, but a powerful indictment of the hidden truths within the music industry. His story extended beyond his own experience, shedding light on the broader, darker realities faced by young artists. Though he didn't name others, he strongly suggested that many had faced similar ordeals. He mentioned artists who had disappeared or broken down mentally, unable to speak out due to fear. "I was lucky I had the money to get help, but some of them didn't," he said, highlighting the injustice and the silent suffering many others in the industry might have endured without the support their music needed. Usher revealed that some of the artists who had been part of Diddy's world ended up tragically harmed. One died from a drug overdose, another attempted suicide, and one simply vanished, never to be heard from again. When asked why he stayed silent for over 2 decades, Usher explained that in 2001, no one would have believed him. Diddy was an untouchable music mogul, and Usher was just a young artist with a voice but no power or influence to stand up. "Puffy was untouchable, and I was just the kid with the voice," Usher said. However, with time and the growing awareness of these dark truths, Usher now believes the world is ready to hear his story. Usher's testimony left the courtroom in a heavy silence, not just because of the shocking truths he revealed, but because of the unspoken realities he brought to light. Behind every platinum record, every award speech, and every headline-making performance, there's often a hidden struggle, young artists caught in an industry that thrives on pressure and control. Usher's words weren't just for himself. They were for the countless artists who never had the chance to speak out, whose dreams of music and fame were overshadowed by manipulation and abuse. His testimony became a powerful call to expose the entertainment industry's dark side, where power and fame can easily be wielded as tools of control. Usher's testimony not only exposed the personal wounds he endured, but also gave a voice to those who were never able to speak out. It's a stark reminder that behind the glamour and success of the spotlight, there are often hidden scars, the kind of pain no one sees. If you've ever wondered what might lie behind the scenes, drop a 1 in the comments. If not, leave a 0. This isn't just Usher's story. It's a wake-up call for an entire generation of artists, reminding us all that silence shouldn't come at the expense of our well-being. Hit that subscribe button to show your support and help spread the truth, because one voice can empower thousands who are still too afraid to speak. Usher described the house where he lived with Diddy as more than just a temporary place. It was where dreams were sold, but your soul was the price. This powerful statement painted a chilling picture of manipulation and emotional damage. Usher then revealed that he had been diagnosed with PTSD, a disclosure that stunned both the courtroom and his fans. The healing process was long and difficult, taking nearly 2 years of therapy before he could sleep through the night without nightmares. This moment underscored the deep psychological trauma Usher faced, not just from isolated incidents, but from an entire system that demanded silence and compliance for years. It was one of the most powerful moments in the trial. Usher wasn't only speaking for himself, but also for those victims who never had the chance to speak out. His testimony wasn't just an accusation against one man. It was a condemnation of an entire industry that has inflicted injustice and lasting harm on countless artists, leaving them to suffer in silence behind the music scenes. Usher's court testimony was not just a personal revelation, but a powerful indictment of the hidden truths within the music industry. His story extended beyond his own experience, shedding light on the broader, darker realities faced by young artists. Though he didn't name others, he strongly suggested that many had faced similar orals. He mentioned artists who had disappeared or broken down mentally, unable to speak out due to fear. "I was lucky I had the money to get help, but some of them didn't," he said, highlighting the injustice and the silent suffering many others in the industry might have endured without the support their music needed. Usher revealed that some of the artists who had been part of Diddy's world ended up tragically harmed. One died from a drug overdose, another attempted suicide, and one simply vanished, never to be heard from again. When asked why he stayed silent for over 2 decades, Usher explained that in 2001, no one would have believed him. Diddy was an untouchable music mogul, and Usher was just a young artist with a voice but no power or influence to stand up. "Puffy was untouchable, and I was just the kid with the voice," Usher said. However, with time and the growing awareness of these dark truths, Usher now believes the world is ready to hear his story. Usher's testimony left the courtroom in a heavy silence, not just because of the shocking truths he revealed, but because of the unspoken realities he brought to light. Behind every platinum record, every award speech, and every headline-making performance, there's often a hidden struggle, young artists caught in an industry that thrives on pressure and control. Usher's words weren't just for himself. They were for the countless artists who never had the chance to speak out, whose dreams of music and fame were overshadowed by manipulation and abuse. His testimony became a powerful call to expose the entertainment industry's dark side, where power and fame can easily be wielded as tools of control. Usher's testimony not only exposed the personal wounds he endured, but also gave a voice to those who were never able to speak out. It's a stark reminder that behind the glamour and success of the spotlight, there are often hidden scars, the kind of pain no one sees. If you've ever wondered what might lie behind the scenes, drop a 1 in the comments. If not, leave a 0. This isn't just Usher's story. It's a wake-up call for an entire generation of artists, reminding us all that silence shouldn't come at the expense of our well-being. Hit that subscribe button to show your support and help spread the truth, because one voice can empower thousands who are still too afraid to speak.